From the very first glare, sharp, icy, and impossible to explain away, this wasn't just tension. This was a silent war of looks, power, and unspoken rage, playing out in public while the world pretended not to see it. They told us it was unity. They sold us smiles, hand-holding, and carefully choreographed appearances. But behind the polished photos and rehearsed waves, something darker was simmering, something you could catch only if you watched closely. Because while words stayed polite, the eyes told a very different story. This is 15 times Meghan Markle was caught giving the evil eye to Princess Catherine, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. From the beginning, Meghan's body language screamed what her lips never dared to say. Attention wasn't just desired, it was demanded. And the moment that spotlight drifted even slightly away, her face betrayed her. The jaw tightened, the smile froze, and the stare came out like a blade. Take that early royal event meant to celebrate history, unity, and joy. Catherine stepped forward effortlessly, greeting people with warmth that didn't look practiced. Because it wasn't. She didn't chase the moment. The moment came to her. And from the stands, Meghan watched. Locked on, eyes narrowed. The look wasn't curiosity. It wasn't admiration. It was pure, unmistakable disgust. Cold. Lingering. Almost venomous. Catherine never noticed, and that somehow made it worse. Then came the Royal Foundation Forum, the moment that still makes people uncomfortable when they rewatch it. Catherine held the microphone, confident, calm, commanding the room without trying. And Meghan? You could see it happen in real time. The realization hit her like a slap. The attention wasn't on her. Her expression shifted. The warmth vanished. And then she turned and stared. Not a glance. A stare, loaded with resentment, jealousy, and something dangerously close to anger. Catherine kept speaking, completely unaware that beside her, a silent storm was brewing. At the Raff Centenary, a day meant to honor a century of service and sacrifice, Meghan's focus drifted again, not to the ceremony, not to the meaning of the moment, but straight to Catherine. While Catherine carried out her role with practiced elegance, Meghan watched her like a hawk. The stare was sharp, unrelenting. People who saw it later called it a death stare, and honestly, that wasn't an exaggeration. If looks could bruise, Catherine would have felt it from across the room. Trooping the couleurs should have been about celebration. Flags, smiles, national pride. Catherine looked radiant, glowing with ease. Meghan sat stiff, uncomfortable, and there it was again, that heavy, bitter look aimed directly at Catherine. While the carriage rolled on and crowds cheered, Meghan's face told a different story. Frustration. Resentment. A woman watching someone live a role she desperately wanted but could never truly claim. Then came Prince Louis's christening, a moment meant for family, unity, and quiet joy. Catherine, newly postpartum, stood serene and composed. Meghan, visibly unsettled. The stare she threw Catherine was brief but brutal. Disgust flickered across her face. Some say it was the reality hitting her. Catherine's children weren't just children. They were heirs, permanent, untouchable. And that truth cut deep. Wimbledon was supposed to be casual, relaxed, friendly. But the tension crackled the second they arrived. Meghan shot Catherine an unfriendly glare before slapping on a forced smile that fooled no one. By then, the damage was done. Jealousy sat right there on her face, raw and exposed. The atmosphere was so uncomfortable, you could almost feel the air thicken. Back at the Raff event, even distance couldn't break Meghan's fixation. Catherine sat far away, beside William, yet Meghan's eyes found her again and again. Long stares, repeated glances, a focus that raised uncomfortable questions. What was she searching for? Validation? Weakness? Or reassurance that Catherine wasn't untouchable after all? And when they stood together later, the contrast was brutal. Catherine smiled, that easy, genuine smile that comes from confidence and belonging. Meghan noticed instantly. Her reaction was immediate, sharp, suspicious, almost offended, as if Catherine's happiness itself was an insult. The difference between them couldn't have been clearer. Warmth on one side, bitterness on the other. Commonwealth Day brought no relief. Catherine walked ahead, poised and unbothered. Meghan followed, staring hard, delivering a side-eye so hostile it made people uneasy just watching it later. Ask yourself honestly, would you feel safe if someone looked at you like that? Because that wasn't accidental. That was personal. And the pattern didn't stop. Throughout the event, Meghan fired off side-eye after side-eye, even when Catherine wasn't paying her the slightest attention. At some point, coincidence becomes obsession. And this was obsession wrapped in envy. Remembrance Day should have demanded solemn respect. Catherine delivered exactly that. Modest, composed, deeply respectful. Meghan looked distracted. And once again, her eyes betrayed her. Staring, measuring, resenting. Perhaps Catherine's flawless conduct made the contrast impossible to ignore. The eyes said everything Meghan never could. And then, the moment that changed the dynamic entirely. For once, Catherine caught her staring, and instead of ignoring it, Catherine stepped forward and gave it right back. A look so sharp, so final, it screamed, "Enough." Meghan immediately recoiled, adjusted her hair, stepped back. The power shift was instant and undeniable. The festive season didn't soften things. Walking back from Christmas service, Catherine looked calm and radiant. Meghan stared, again, eyes filled with bitterness and quiet pain. That stare was her only weapon. She couldn't challenge Catherine's place. She couldn't compete with her presence. All she could do was look. And that's the part people still don't talk about enough. The silence. Because after all the stares, the side eyes, the frozen smiles, and clenched jaws, the loudest thing in this saga was what was never said out loud. No interviews, no press releases, no carefully worded statements. Just looks. Long, loaded, undeniable looks that screamed what protocol forbade. By then, the pattern was impossible to ignore. This wasn't one bad day. This wasn't awkward adjustment or media exaggeration. This was repeated behavior. Across events, seasons, milestones, whenever Catherine shone effortlessly, Meghan's expression darkened. It was as if every smile Catherine wore felt like a personal defeat to someone who needed the spotlight like oxygen. And here's the uncomfortable truth no one wanted to admit at the time. Catherine never had to compete. She didn't grab microphones. She didn't force moments. She didn't need to announce her importance. It was already understood. That quiet confidence, that was the real trigger. Because nothing enrages insecurity more than someone who doesn't even realize they're winning. Each glare told the same story. A woman watching the life she thought she deserved, the adoration, the position, the future, unfolding naturally in someone else's hands. And the more Catherine stayed calm, unbothered, and dignified, the more unhinged those looks became. That's why they lingered. That's why they were so intense. That's why people noticed. When Catherine finally returned that stare, just once, it was over. Not with drama, not with words, just a look that said, "I see you. And I'm not afraid." And suddenly, the power dynamic flipped. Meghan adjusted her hair, stepped back. The moment passed, but the message landed. From then on, the distance grew. Public appearances thinned. Tension turned into separation, and eventually into an exit so loud it shook the monarchy. But those looks? They remained frozen in time. Proof that before the interviews, before the accusations, before the walkaway, the truth was already written on Meghan's face. Because crowns don't need to glare, they just exist. They just exist. They just exist.